DistroKid now also has a motherfucking app.
The DistroKid app is available for iOS and Android.
You can now get an additional 30% off if you go to distrokid.com/VIP/cult. That's distrokid.com/VIP/cult.
Or you can get it in the App Store.
Fuck. All right, we're rolling.
Rolling.
Planet B.
Present.
Cult and Culture Podcast.
Hey, we're back. Episode 46, Part 2, Spenser Little, you, us, the sphere, the ether, whatever you want to call it. We went a little bit long with this podcast. We felt that it's justified. The almighty algorithm thought it was
Nuts.
Yeah, we need to cut this in half. So this is part 2. If you're still on board for this conversation, we hope you enjoy the second half. We appreciate you paying attention.
Yep.
Let's dive into this.
Yep.
Later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I have befriended a bunch of people on the Scripps Oceanography Institute campus from leaving wire sculptures there for so many years because I used to work at a biotech company right over in the biotech ghetto where the 5 and 805 merge, and I would go over after work and just leave wire sculptures all along this bluff on the campus just to clear my mind after a corporate hell. And I ended up befriending all of these people just because I was leaving sculptures there so much to work out this 9-to-5 work animosity. I just sit and leave sculptures, and some of the poles have rings of wire that have been there for 20, 25 years over the course of me leaving them.
Stayed, yeah.
I mean, people take the sculptures, but the part of the slack that I tie the sculpture on with is there. So the ring just has these poles just have like a corrosion of iron rot, of the iron ore rusting with the seawater trying to turn back into earth blood. But this one of the men that I met there is this older man named, I won't say his name, but he's a former science advisor to NATO, a brilliant oceanographer, incredible man. He's in his 80s, fit as fuck, and every time I hang out with him, it's just so sobering because he's this incredibly intelligent, educated man who is just is supposed to be the smart guy in the room that's giving me hope about human intellect, and he just talks about what he sees coming with the American empire, the social geopolitical politics, and I mean, he completely foresaw what's happening in Palestine. He told me years ago what they were planning on doing and what they were going to do, and it's just insane that even this level-headed, educated man is still ringing the alarm bells, and it's easy to lose hope and be overwhelmed. I mean, that's why you see so many people going to conspiracy theories and abandoning critical analysis.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's there's so many capital T truth things wrong that we could focus on, but it's more sexy to talk about some weird ass fucking conspiracy theory that's Bigfoot fucking Elvis or whatever, back to Elvis. But it's interesting.
It always
time.
comes back to Elvis.
I hope. I mean, I don't think I like Elvis. I mean, I grew up on Elvis. My mom loved Elvis. But how do you guys feel about Elvis? I feel like he's just one more guy that stole the black man's music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just did an interview with my 95-year-old grandmother. It's really bizarre, but she was
That sounds right.
It was pretty crazy. I played all these records of mine. It went well, but she was like, I saw Elvis. I'm like, what the fuck? That's crazy. And she saw Johnny Cash and stuff too, who I really do respect and admire as musically more than Elvis.
Same, and as a person.
Yeah. But what about when people take your stuff? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I said earlier that it's that object's 18th birthday. And that's kind of the mentality that I've learned to have. I mean, I want it to be where I put it. And that's my intent, is to have that object where I put it. I put it there for a reason. And so people come up to me, though, and they go, I found this. And I go, you didn't find it. It was never lost.
Yeah.
You took that. So I changed their use of words for the meaning. But I can't be bitter
but it's such human nature to be like, oh, beautiful thing,
monkey see shiny fruit, monkey grab shiny fruit.
Because then it's not there for everybody else to
I have a guy, I mean, I used to go walk her at OB Dog Park, and there's a pole that I liked there that didn't have a sign on it, so this empty pole, and every time I'd walk her every single day, 10 years, left one on that pole. So like thousands over the years on this one pole. And one morning I went there like at 6 a.m., which I'm a night owl, so I rarely go down there that early. And I go, and the worker who just like, empties the garbage cans and peels the stickers off the street signs, I watch her go up to the sculpture and pull it and just throw it in the garbage.
Whoa.
And I realized like every single day for like years, they were just getting thrown right into the garbage.
Whoa.
But I kind of, not that I'm like some guru or anything, but I've taken this like I don't care about the finished. As I age, I realize how temporary everything is, how everything in this world is a complete loan, and that there's no such thing as a pyramid. You could try your hardest, and you can get your name in neon, and your pyramid will still crumble into the sand. So for me, it's all about the process of my experience, and so I don't even really care about the finished objects. There's gems that come through where I'm like, oh, that's a good one, and I have pride in that, which is good. It's good to have ego. You don't get out of bed with a little bit of ego. But for me, everything is so fleeting. Life, laugh, this communication, like it's all about enjoying the process. And if I enjoyed to make it and I continue to enjoy and make it, that's all I really care about. But just kind of, I think I'm getting way more foofy and new agey as I age, but I'm blissfully accepting it. Because it makes me a lot less fucking angry, and it makes me way more constructive. Because I used to always cook with cast iron, and these days I cook with tin foil, where when you cook with cast iron, you get really hot and you fry really well and you cook your food really well, but you stay hot. It takes forever to cool down. And now I kind of like cook with everything with tin foil, where it gets the job done and I eat, but I don't stay hot as long. And because when you're hot and you're angry, you're just not thinking. You're just going straight to action. You're skipping the logic centers in your brain. So I'm trying to because I've been angry, and that's why I got into making art, is because I was raised by what I call this is a noodle term, which is called Anglo-Saxon, just angry white.
I've heard it.
Yeah, angry white dudes. I was just raised around angry East County white guys that dealt with everything through violent conflict.
Of course.
And so for me, that's what was so attractive about art, is it's the antithesis of that. It's like when I started making art, like all of my friends, even my punker friends that were extremely left, were like, oh, you're a fag, you're doing fag stuff. But that term was used a lot in the 90s, and now it's not. But because it wasn't manly to make art or whatever, or tough or whatever. So but I liked that, because it was like, fuck this masculinity that I'm seeing out here. Like I want to emotionally compost pit this anger and use this energy into doing something constructive and good, which is what I think is best case scenario you can do as an angry guy. So now that I've done that and I've processed all this anger, I'm not angry at all anymore. And so I don't want to be in these states of just fucking violent thinking. And so, and also I don't think well. I don't have good ideas. I don't make good poetic sculpture when I'm in those states. I just make angry stuff, which can lead to cool shit. But it gets fucking tiring when you get to my age. But it's interesting when you put those terms on it. Like, I know where you're coming from with the swastika cross, but like, let's talk about this one, because it seems like inherently angry. So this is the more kind of silly. It's the iPhone hypodermic needle, where you can just inject technology directly in. So this is just me making fun of how I'm addicted. We're all just addicted to these things. I mean, I made this probably the first hypodermic needle iPhone I made. I think it was actually a clam phone from my old Nokia clam phones, probably around 2010, maybe even earlier, when I was first noticing how many of my friends would go out to dinner and just sit on their phones the whole time. And I wasn't on social media back then. I didn't join Instagram until 2016, I think, or 15. And so for me, I was like, fucker, I'm more interesting than that fucking thing. Put that fucking thing down. And then clearly I'm not, because it's the most popular human object or a device ever invented. And it's completely mind fucked us. We're all little cyborgs now. But I mean, to me, it's almost, it is violent, and I mean, I made this before I learned all the science too about how addictive they are and how it is a drug, and how we.
I mean, that's the most violent part, especially how it's affecting younger people, where they're just it's changing the way our brains function.
I mean, I believe in the future, like the internet will have like a smoking section, like outside. Like you'll have to go outside to use your phone. Like it will be like how we look at smoking now. I think that's how it's going to be pretty soon. In the
I mean,
Oh.
I try to go like, hey, I have to get this message.
Be cordial,
I
yeah.
say instead of just being like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I try to say like, hey, I got to do this.
I do the same.
thing.
I just always say like I got to handle this right now, especially because I mean, since 2020, that's when I transitioned to primarily making most of my money on Instagram. So I sell most my things directly to my fan base via Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark Zuckerberg controls my fucking algorithm. So like that's another, we were talking about like backlash from speaking politically. Like when I started doing these, not pro-Palestinian, but just anti-industrial military complex things, I got way shadow banned and my exposure went way down on social media, and that affects my dinner. So like a direct, but like at the same time, like I'm gonna speak my mind. I'll go back and I'll clean toilets if I have to. I'll survive.
Yeah.
And also I'm like a big tall white guy in America. I'll be fine. But but at the same time, like you do say something and you go like, oh, like no one's seeing my account anymore because I've spoken on this topic that if you speak on, you'll get shadow banned.
That's an interesting thing because I like I don't maybe say this the right way. I enjoy fucking with people on Twitter.
Okay.
And
like how so?
Just trolling like shitheads, you know, and I for the hell
As
of
like
it,
a cathartic release, or
it's just
what do you
I
get
can
out
just
of
be
it?
like, what can I say right now just to take a jab? This will be funny and be like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll see good shit. I'll be like, oh, that's good. Like after the like so there was a picture of Trump after the debate the other night.
Yeah.
And this person was like, I forgot how they said it, but he, you know, and this is like fucked up. It's like not okay to say, but I thought it was hilarious. So come at me. But it was like Trump's neck pussy is like on par.
Wait, say that again. I laughed.
Yeah, it said, but it was talking about his neck pussy, and I was like, dude, that's the fucking funniest shit. Like,
saw that.
you know, I get it, whatever, but like, I think it's fine because he, you know, that grab, you know, by the pussy thing. I was like, it's fucking fine. Fuck that guy anyhow.
Yeah.
But I out of like, for no reason, I was like, I'm going to just block, Elon Musk, since he owns it, because you can. Because I kept seeing his bullshit tweets, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking Neanderthal. So I was like, blocked. And then I said a couple things, and I'm like, dude, I think my shit's getting fucked with right now because I think I blocked him, and maybe that did a thing to me. I don't know.
I guarantee they have algorithms set up that will do that.
But I take my jabs for myself. I mean, it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't need like a
grab him by the neck, pussy.
Grab them by the neck, pussy. It's a good way of sculpture. So I mean, that's the thing is like if you do, you have to expect it. You have to expect that backlash. Like so for me, like it's I don't care to bite the hand that feeds me. Like as far as like if that happens, that happens.
But you already the hand that's feeding you has no respect for you. They don't give a flying fuck.
And
so
not only that, it really is interesting to be someone that thinks the way that I do, and I know that I'm just feeding this thing that I know that's destroying human culture and making us de-evolve.
But how? I mean, it's just like music being on Spotify. That's like the worst platform to stream music. And
there's no
does.
fighting it. Like, what can you?
You
I
can't.
mean, I don't. Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, it's like were we talking about Live Nation? That was maybe earlier today, a different conversation.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
okay.
like Live Nation or Clear Channel is the same thing. Clear Channel was like ejecting artists from venues because they were speaking out against the first Gulf War, and it's like you can't fucking do that for someone's opinion that's against war, you know. But it happened, and now Live Nation Clear Channel's Live Nation. It's like, well, fuck. Did I sell out? I don't know. I would not play music or tour if I fucking kept that stance.
Yeah.
It is fucked the Locust not playing Clear Channel, and it's righteous and it did something, but at the end of the day, it's like at some point you kind of have to figure something out, which makes me think like I wonder why. That's probably like why Fugazi quit playing. It's like what are they gonna do? You know, it's like
I mean, they're a band that probably navigated it better than any other band I've seen as far as. But I mean, think about. I mean, they didn't capitalize off of it. I'm sure that they, you know, like had no choice to try to navigate the way they did with the $5 shows for so long. Like,
but that's an interesting thing too, because I did kind of like trip out on this, like, this is the price, and it's like, well, fuck, everyone else might need a little bit more money, or we can't go. I couldn't go and negotiate, like, you're only gonna charge $5, but you're gonna give us this much money. They're gonna be like, no, you're not gonna fucking get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and I'm not faulting Fugazi whatsoever,
Yeah.
but I do wonder, like, about when you. Because, you know, they've said the, like, righteous shit. Like, we're never going to play Coachella after they got offered a bunch of money. The next time we play live, it'll be for free in D.C. And it's like, that's so fucking rad and so righteous. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I can't fucking survive. Like, you
That's
know,
what I mean.
Like,
Like,
I
does
wish I
that?
could do that.
I'm not talking about them particularly. I mean, does that lower the bar for everyone else?
Oh, they all have to kind of, like, if you want to be on that.
The opposite of like all ships rise in a high tide.
Yeah.
Like do all ships lower when you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Like
Yeah.
just now that they've set this precedent of like what righteousness is. Like,
Well, it's sort of like bridging the art and the music is like that whole Nike thing where they stole the Minor Threat album cover.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
And like Ian just made him stop, and I was like, dude, sue the fuck out of that company.
Yeah.
And then if you don't need the money, like donate it to something cool. Like
that's
be-
what I
you know.
see. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, but I couldn't articulate when I was talking about them. Is like they generated this huge amount of momentum and cultural buzz, and like, did they really? They could have done a lot of good with that raised of enthusiasm. They could have, even if they didn't want the money for themselves, they could have done tons of good with it because they were constantly doing fundraisers at all their concerts.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was like, why don't you just charge more and then give it to the
Give more money.
Yeah. But like, so that's the thing that confused me. But I get it. It's because they're sticking to their guns, and that's why I fucking love.
And also, it's them. Like, do
Yeah.
whatever they're allowed to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's different times now. But and those ideas, you know, have much fallen to the wayside for most creatives. Like now, it's just market yourself anyway. I mean, we're in the whoring 20s. Like it's whatever you can get away with these days. Like no one has any scruples.
Well, and then just capitalism is just like it makes a lot of art. I guess avenues just like if you're an artist, you're scraping by like you know. I mean, when you get your fucking royalty checks for Spotify, it's like, oh yeah, we can split this 18 cents between the 5 of us. Great.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, for visual arts, it's either feast or famine. So like you make money in these bulks, and then you never know when it's coming again. So you just have to save anything you make. You just have to save.
Yeah.
And my first 10 years were like complete top ramen years. I had no idea. It didn't make sense at all. I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to make a living out of this? So
the making a living thing's weird because I feel like, and maybe this might resonate, but I feel like we did this thing because we had to for our own, you know, mental stability, and then it kind of became. I don't want to say a commodity, but I just remember like playing music and being like, oh shit, people will pay me.
To do something.
Well, you can get paid $80, or like, you know, and we
Yeah.
could sell 10 records or
Yeah,
40 records or whatever, and then you're like, oh, and then you kind of do it, but you're not like I'm like Taylor Swift right now. You're like, no, I'm at the fucking bottom. I'm in the gutter, and I'm gonna remain here for the next 40 years. But like, hey, at least I'm doing something cool and creative that I like.
I mean, if you talk to anybody that's working a day job, they'll just tell you to shut your fucking mouth.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
all I have to do is remember what it's like to go to a Monday morning work meeting, and I quit complaining really quick about anything in the arts.
Yeah.
A day job that pays well or doesn't pay well, they're both gonna be like, you have freedom.
Yeah, that's true. And freedom is more valuable than money, really. Or I mean, makes you happier.
Absolutely.
But I believe so. I mean, I have a lot of wealthy people in my life that are art collectors, and they are mostly not very happy people.
Yeah.
They're mostly, you know, looking for constant diversion, and sometimes the diversion is something I make. But the for me, that's exactly exactly what you said. Like I love to do it. So like it's something that relieves my anxious, neurotic, mumpin' brain. It's like therapeutic. It's just like a grandmother knitting. Like it's like I just sit and I relax and my hands take over. So for me, it's this mechanism to go back into myself and completely find meaning in this madhouse that we live on. So, which I think is the same with music playing. Like you're tapping into whatever spirit makes you do project these sounds.
Sure. Why do you play that weird shit? Why do you make that? Why are you yelling? Why are you doing? It's like, 'cause I fucking have to, and it's what comes out of me. But also too, I wonder, like, you know, the people that are collecting your art, and I'm not trying to like be mean towards the bourgeois, but like they can collect your art because they have this emptiness, because they're like, oh my gosh, because you, as much as you said you're like, what'd you call yourself, like the white swap meat Jesus
Swap
or
meat
whatever,
Jesus
like, you know, all this fucking shit, like, you know,
Kentucky
you're,
Fried Christ.
Yeah.
I like Kentucky Fried Christ.
you know, and like, you know, like, for lack of better terms, like white trash or whatever you want to call it, but like you have been able to, like, you're like the exotic whatever, you know, to these people. They're just like, oh my god, you thought of this thing and you made, and like, you're like, yeah, I made it. Yeah.
So I mean, like the thank you Paleo Treats for my rocket bar.
Tiramisu.
Oh, they went off. I'm not going to get into this on this with this microphone in my face, but the so that's exactly what it is. I mean, look at like the Renaissance, where like the artist was hired by the wealthy Medici family to take away the king's double chin and do the portrait and make the rich
Oh yeah,
look
and
good.
the painting, yeah.
So that's what the artist kind of always is. If you get successful at it and you get to where you actually have affluent collectors, you're I mean, the whole adage of them, like you're adding value to their empty life with your little low class blue collar ass, like
Yeah.
that's really what it is. I mean, music is different because music is the experience of like communalness and cathartic purge altogether.
Live music.
Live music, yeah,
Because there's still the commodity aspect where, like, I'm going to
That's
buy the
true.
limited record.
that is a product, yeah.
Because I fucking trip. There's like $200 Locust shirts on eBay, and I'm like, I'm broke, motherfuckers. This is crazy.
Yeah, that sucks.
Wow.
But on that flip side
Guess
of
who's over here making $200?
that, you know what's funny?
A box of them.
I get them for free, and
I love it.
all you gotta say is vintage.
Gabe would be proud.
And then boom.
Well, that's true. My mom was like, "Hey, you gave me this fucking shirt. It's totally thrashed. I don't want it anymore." I'm like, she's like, "You should sell it. Probably like think I'm gonna sell it to like Buffalo Exchange." And I'm like, "Let me try to sell it on eBay. Let's see what happens." Vintage from 2000, like European tour shirt with the Locust, and it sold for $104. And my mom's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna give you all my shirts to sell." I'm like, "All right," you know, over 30 years of playing music, she's got a bunch of bullshit,
yeah.
and she's gonna just have me sell it all, which is cool. Whatever,
Yeah,
do whatever.
damn.
But someone bought it for $104, which is it's not worth $4. You know?
Yeah.
It's fucked. It's a fucked up T-shirt. It's been worn for 24 years.
I've seen her wear it. I have.
Yeah. My mom's pretty legit. Like, she'll wear unbroken shirts and shit like that, which she'll probably have me sell the unbroken shirt. I'm sure it'll sell for a lot.
Are those as valuable? Unbroken's having a resurgence, right?
Yeah, but it's still like technically a vintage shirt that was only made in like 2004 or whatever,
Unbroken.
you know, whatever it is.
I went to high school with Todd, the drummer.
Yep. Wonderful people.
Yeah,
And they're still playing.
yeah, I saw that. Did you,
He was on the podcast.
Not Todd.
No.
Rob.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tad. That was
Tad
another
from Crossed
band,
Out was
yeah.
on it. Yeah.
did you ever listen to what Youth Today when they became Shelter, the Harley Krishna straight edge band?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When I was like 14, I was super into them. The first skate
Really?
video that my friends and I ever made with 2 VHS recorders in my friend Darren's living room. We made a skate, and I chose a Shelter song to skate
Whoa.
to. So funny. Did you ever hear this band? It was
I remember.
Oh my God, what a strange era.
I saw them play, and me and a friend of mine,
I think they played the Shea.
they did, yeah.
I think I saw them at the Shea when
They
I
played
was a
at
squirt.
Del Mar's Garage, I think, too. But we threw veggie dogs at them, and they were so mad. They thought they were real hot dogs because they're all vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I should have it's expensive to do that, and especially back then when I was
Yeah.
16. But I was like, I didn't want to go.
Expensive veggie
Yeah,
dogs at
we had a
Shelter.
bunch of veggie dogs, and I was like, let's just fucking throw them at them because we were like super anti-Krishna because Krishna's pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, let's just go. Because back then too, it was crazy. There was like a lot of Hare Krishna shit happening in hardcore. And I was all about like Sam McPheeters and Born Against, who were definitely against all religion, but specifically Krishna.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, fuck those guys. Like that shit sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it's super misogynistic and
Exactly.
sexist. And,
That's what I was gonna say.
and like
every one of their
capitalistic.
gurus is just like all gurus. They have sex with all the women.
Yep.
So Shelter, yeah, cool. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that during tiramisu, but
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't make a resurgence in hardcore.
when you see like weird conglomerations of things happen, it reminds me of like it happens, like cholo goths or stuff like that. When you see these, it reminds me of like Shelter, of like these two weird things culminating together. That still happens. There's still versions of it that are equally as eyesore.
Sometimes it's like we had Ken Osborne on our podcast, and he's like, what was he calling himself? Trap metal. And like I was like, that's fucking pretty crazy. And that dude's so rad. He's so fucking righteous, and the shit he does is great and honest and cool. Where there's stuff like, you know, this cholo goth thing. You're just like, this seems like someone's just fucking farting out an idea, and like hopefully it sticks. And
People love it.
People do love it.
Well, people love it because you got Vice on board being like, look at this fucking wild thing. And then it's like,
I think it taps
filmed in slow-mo and
something too into this Mexican subculture too. I think it, like the way like hardcore Mexican kids loved the Smiths so much. I think it taps
they love it.
Yeah.
I think it taps into something like that. But it's interesting.
Well, cholos, there's Mexican goth, but cholos painting their nails and wearing eyeliner, that was like forbidden with cholos, and now all of a sudden like it's okay when you'd be like, fuck, faggot, right away off the bat.
I'm kind of into it.
No, I get that. I'm
into
like
like
cool
the
with it, but I'm just
mixture
saying
of
it's
just
like all of a sudden like it was just like
yeah
because of one person that had that idea and like ran with it and just did it, and like you said, Vice magazine, it was just like all is cool, but I just wonder how like the real cholos in prison are like.
No, they're gonna pull your card.
it's funny though, because like the Vice thing on Cholo Goth was pretty interesting. I think we're gonna derail here, but maybe
I'm cutting all this out.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. A couple of the women that were in that video were like, this fucking sucked. Like, we don't want to make out with those dudes. And all the dudes were like, these chicks are hot. We totally want to make out with them. And it was just fucking super lame. And it was like a forced thing that I don't think really was a thing yet, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Oh, they kissed in the video?
I think they were trying to, like, get everyone to get all sexy. And the girls were like, fuck that. Those dudes just look like thugs, you know? Like some fucking gangbangers. And they were just not into it. And all the girls were like, kind of hot or whatever. It's always like a weird thing.
Yeah.
But let's get back on track here.
Yeah.
Can we talk about these pieces?
Yeah. So this is a wire writing framed piece that says the artists of today would rather usher in a decorative doomsday instead of trying to inspire the revolutionaries of tomorrow. It's just my critique of how many artists I see that are going more towards ornament and spectacle and less further and further away from self-expression and relative thoughts. So I make tons of ornament and I make tons of things that are meaningless. And I understand that like there's a whole huge part of everyone's brain where they're just you know, like I make a lot of stuff that's just pure jubilance, like wacky bullshit for fun. So I get it, and I'm not saying like everything you make has to be this poignant political commentary, but I feel like we're living in this time. Like the thing at the bank, I feel like, to me, I was like, oh, look at this moment. There's so much to be said and make right here.
Yeah.
There's so much fodder. There's so many things that we could talk about, and there's more and more artists that are just becoming more interior designers, more leaning towards ornament and decoration. As like, I feel like there's so much to be said and spoken about in this culture. So that's like just a little jab that I made off of having to be in the arts and be surrounded by people that make their living decorating the affluent's homes, because most affluent people, going back to like what art gets collected, art very rarely gets collected that has those types of messages. Most of the art that gets collected are things that do match the affluent couch, that they have to be more ornament and more spectacle based. So like it just follows that same thread of like the artists want to make a living doing it, and they'll then say they keep selling that, so they just keep making that, and it becomes this
all they do.
Yeah, it becomes this chain. So the writings that I do is also it's working directly with verbiage, so it has to be a thought. So,
like you could almost be I don't mean this in any disrespect, but you could be a poet as well. You could put out a book.
I've done enough writing where I probably could. Like I've just if I just put I've actually had people offer to do that for me, is to publish a book of just the wire writing and have the book just all wire writing, because I've done over the years, like, I don't even know, a couple thousand like ones that are text based, so that's enough. And I've done many too that are multiple parts, that they're all about the same thread topic, so they could be edited together to have, you know, a narrative arc. But I'm hoping that I get better at doing things like that as I age. I have a lot of ideas for like more long-term projects, but like I'm so just hypnotized by working on my simple process and my simple routine, and I'm still like very productive. So I'm hoping when I age and, you know, the walnut cracking talons become a little creakier, that I just lose my ability to work the way I do now with my hands, because I can't believe I can work as well as I can now with my hands. 48, I grew up skateboarding and fighting like a dumbass as a kid, so I've broken my dominant hand 9 times, and then my non-dominant hand 12 times. So like an enormous amount of broken bones from being a dumbass as a kid. So I mean, I have a limited. I can't believe I'm still able to work as much. I still work like 8 or 9 hours a day every day with my hands, and I feel great. And I feel blessed, like that I'm able to still work with these fucking hands at this age. So, but I know there's the time's coming, like with all the injury that I've had. So that's when I'm hoping that I'm not really strategizing it wisely, but I'm hoping like as I age, I can do more ideas like that.
Like that'll be your exit.
Maybe, or I mean, something to just keep more neck up type of stuff, like neck up type of work, instead of, because now I'm still mainly just always just working with my body. Yeah. But yeah, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just keep working to the day that I die. Like
I don't have another option. People are like, "How long are you gonna do this for?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And it's fucking crazy.
What else could you do? Like, I have designed my life completely. All my eggs are in this basket.
So all of my eggs are in a basket, but like I feel like there's other baskets that I'm not fully aware of. Yeah. But like even recently, one of my friends who's a yoga instructor was like, "Oh, you should just become a yoga instructor." And I was like,
"Do you practice yoga?"
It's 7 days a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But I want to practice it. I don't want to teach it, you know. Yeah. But I do think I know enough where I could be like, okay, I'm gonna to teacher training and become a yoga instructor. Yeah. I can't.
What's your why don't you want to? Why?
I want to just practice it, and then I want to make music and art and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And also like
ideally.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if right now I have like I don't want to get into it. Yeah, my income is so small, and I just barely get by. So I feel like if I was gonna dedicate something to like shifting to like that new career, it would maybe
offset that,
take a lot away from where I'm at right now, even though I'm fucking broke. But it is an exit strategy, because sometimes I'm like, dude, I just did that last night. That like I'll look at a video and be like, I'm fucking 49 years old. That is like not what a 49-year-old person should be doing. Yeah. Which is fine. Who knows? Like, but also most 49-year-old Americans are full of shit.
Western culture, like,
completely.
Because look at. I mean, I'm surrounded by all my peers that I grew up skating with. They're all falling apart. Yeah. But they kind of hung it up mentally and physically a long time ago. Like, they don't use their minds and bodies, and they're not also like. I think it has to do with like what you're talking about, like the passion. Having the fucking moxie and want and the passion to continue to do that will keep you doing it. Like,
of course.
Yeah.
But same with skateboarding, because I mean, I don't know like that much about Tony Hawk necessarily, but like you look at that guy and you're like, that guy still rips so fucking hard. Yeah. And I feel like he has he's what's the word, like where you're like he's like not concerned about the outcome. Like he's God damn it, I'm having a brain fart right now, where you're like you just don't care about what's going to happen. Yeah. Whatever. So like kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, we're going to play a show. Like
punk rock?
No.
Naive?
No,
I'm joking.
God damn it. Like where you're like,
but no, he doesn't. I mean, he just broke his femur.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like, dude. I mean, he's probably like 50 something. Like,
it's got to be.
Yeah. But I mean, I always look at like one of my peers who's a bit older than me, Dave Lombardo. I'm like, that guy fucking still rips, and he's like 60, and it's really, really impressive, sonically, musically, but also just physically. And like even now, he's like, JP, I'm trying to be vegan. I need, because I'm like, oh yeah, you probably should have done that a long time ago. Like, gotta keep it together, Yeah. And, but when I play a show, maybe not so much with Planet B, but like with Def Club or something, it's like the song will start, and I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna go fucking berserk, but it just happens, and then I'm like, that was a little bit too hard. Like, I think I should probably not have done that. But I'm not conscious necessarily.
You're channeling.
I'm not like
whatever spirit.
I'm gonna be responsible right
Yeah.
now and stay right on the ground. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go everywhere on the stage that I can.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's like, whatever. It's like a metaphorical thing, because doing art and stuff, like I thought when I saw your art at the Burnt Bank, I was like, I would have been scared to go put that shit up there. Like, I don't know, there was like fucking militia assholes.
Yeah,
and
there
like,
were.
Yeah, like
There were guys like waving flags and
bullshit.
Yeah,
like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. You fucking hate black people or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're up there like putting up a thing, and I don't know, like I would be scared.
yeah. Well, I definitely not, for whatever, maybe it's just like my East County like tough guy roots. Like I just don't scare easily.
But also, I think it's how you hold yourself, because even not to keep riffing on that one incident, a very important incident, but like I remember I went out to the start of the, right before we got to the bank, I stopped at this other burning car. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And there's people all over, and they looted a Plate Against Sports.
Played against sports, yeah. They broke all the windows and got the bats.
Everyone
out
had
of
bats.
it. Yeah.
So I got out of the car and I was with Becky, and she's like, holy fuck, everyone's got bats. And like, I'm like, yeah, but we're like not what they want to be. I'm like, I don't want to be like, we're on their team, but like, I'm like, we're on their fucking side here. Like, these are the people, like, I'm worried about the cops with the riot gear and the guns. Like all these kids with bats. And then the dude was like, you need this? And he's like, try to hand me a bat. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't really want to like go to bat with, I just want to fucking observe and like appreciate you all and like let it do the thing.
Yeah. The chaos of the crowd. Yeah. But it's still chaotic, and it could still turn on you. Like it's the chaos. It's when a crowd is full of that chaos, you never know who the victim will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
but
what.
there was
And it
already a
can turn
victim.
on you.
Yeah,
there was
for
a
sure.
fucking victim in the roots of that whole situation. You know? It's,
I mean, I'm more scared though of like, I mean, in my lifetime, there's been no hate greater than Christian love. I'm much more scared of like the white nationalist
That's the best
Christian
quote
guys,
ever.
or the guys that would like go out to Hakamba, where I knew a Quaker family that was trying to feed people migrating up through the fence there. They would drive in circles in their trucks around like women and children with these Quaker families trying to feed them, like MAGA white nationalist dudes would fully armed in front of Border Patrol.
Whoa.
But like if I had a gun, I'd get instantly wrapped up.
Yeah.
So like we're trying to like feed and distribute food, and a lot of friends of mine are out there all the time doing it full time, constantly dealing with like these white nationalist guys that are all Christians, that are all like, fuck these people, fuck the other, and just completely forgetting all what the good book says to like feed the out of towner and all that shit.
but I mean, that's like time and time again. Even like Food Not Bombs is like looked at as a terrorist organization.
Exactly. Well, especially when it first started.
Completely.
Like,
And it's
what
like-
happened to the founder of it?
Yeah.
He almost got killed many times. Yeah. So I mean, that's a real fear. But I mean, when I was putting up that wire, there was just a bunch of people. There was actually like almost like a parade of big truck dudes flag waving. But like I knew I just looked like one of them, so I wasn't scared. And what I was doing was so nonchalant, and only took me a millisecond. So I just put it up, got a little photograph for the Grammy-gram, and then split. So like for me, like it wasn't like a heroic act or anything. It was just like I knew I was just nonchalant about it. But that's also one thing that I've put wire up in front of cops, and they've been like, "Oh, cool, that's cool," because it's not really vandalism.
Because you're not up there with paint or something.
Yeah, I've even like climbed up on like sketchy poles, like way up high precariously, and they didn't care. And I had a cop roll up on me, and they don't care.
That's
'Cause,
crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
they still recognize. They still mostly usually recognize it as art, not vandalism.
Yeah.
So like that's another way that I've.
Maybe because you're just like adding something, you're not defacing it.
Yeah.
Right. I
I've
don't know.
never had anyone. No, I've had a few people actually. I've had a few people up in like parts of LA and parts of San Francisco, but that's because they're looking at it as their hood, and there's some gringo coming in and doing stuff. It was more of that. Like I could have been doing anything, and they wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I've ever had problems with it.
Huh.
Most of the times, it's it's just such a nonchalant medium. It's so uninvasive. So I've never had any problem with it.
That's wild.
That was another reason that it made sense when I started doing it. I was like, oh, this coming out of like being mainly around graffiti writers my whole life, all getting $10,000 felonies.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, I was like, oh, this is a way to do something, and it's completely not looked down upon. So, and then not only not looked down upon, I ended up like city entities hire me to do it.
You, yeah.
So
That's wild that you got that.
yeah, the City Heights Business Association. There's a man named Jim Blazner who's an older artist who wrangled that job for me. He was aware of all the art. I was leaving around San Diego, and he is an amazing City Heights advocate. Just done a lot for the community there. He's done a lot for local artists. A really cool man that I've become good friends with over the years.
Have you ever seen a piece going for sale that someone like
in every imaginable way? Like when I lived in Seattle, I actually gave someone a pair of earrings as a present. And then a year later, I was at a thrift store, and I saw the earrings for sale in the thrift store for $7. And then I bought them and sold them on my Instagram. But it's just like I went all the way through like the capitalist cycle, all the way to like the resale. But I mean, people take them off the street and they eBay them.
Yeah.
And then there's even been people that take them. A few of my stuff have ended up in like secondary auction markets where people are selling them for good amounts.
Yeah.
Some of the larger things that I've left out in public.
Wow.
But the things that I leave mostly these days aren't super elaborate, so they wouldn't be that valuable. Some of them are, though. I mean,
it's like owning a Banksy or something. You know, like you're this thing that created this thing.
I like Blick the Rat better than Banksy. That's who Banksy got the idea
to
make the rat from. But I mean, it's definitely like. I mean, he's like the pinnacle of street art, or whatever that is, the collection of people that's Banksy, or the marketing genius. I mean, he's a marketing genius. Every time he does something, he has like a PR video that he ships out to all the gatekeepers. So it's like this marketing ringleader type of move. But I mean, he's got ideas that I've liked and have done things I liked. Like all the stuff that he did on the wall in Palestine is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of artists that do stuff in public that I really admire, that I've become friends with. There's a guy named Isaac Cordell out of Barcelona that makes like these very strange little businessmen sculptures that he leaves all around Europe. I don't think he really works in America too much, but he's just an old metalhead guy that got into the visual arts that's just constantly talking crap about the same things that I have problems with. So I just identify really hard with him, and that he came out of hardcore music as well. So
that's great.
But yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, that's like what I was saying earlier. There's so much to talk about. I'm surprised there's not more artists. I'm surprised there's not more people talking about it.
Yeah.
And making relative work about it.
Maybe not more, but there are some that are like resonated to what you've done, and like you've inspired them, including myself. You know, like, it's really, really inspiring.
The biggest feather in my cap I think I could get, and I've gotten, is that younger artists have come up to me and been like, the way that you speak your mind has inspired me to be more open and free in what I create.
Cool.
And like that is like, like that's my gates of heaven. Like you can't get a better compliment as an artist than that. So for me, like I've already gotten everything I've wanted out of. I mean, I never even knew that I was going to have an art career or be an artist or have an art path at all. And then I've gotten everything I've wanted. I've eaten off of it for, I think this will be my 20th year this year.
Wow.
And then and I've had many testimonies like that from artists telling me that I've inspired them to speak their mind more freely, which is fucking best thing you can hear. So for me, like, yeah, I could die happy, honestly. I mean, I always want more. I always have more. Like, but like, I've gotten everything I've wanted out of this and more. So it's a good feeling. But but also like, I'm not a complacent person like you. I'm going to work to the day that I die, because it's like what I do. This mechanism, this identity, it's like who I am unwaveringly, unquestioningly. Like I'm here to interpret beauty and insanity and then regurgitate it however I seem fit through my hands, like over and over again. This process is
The
like,
world will just keep giving you another thing to be like, fuck, I gotta go make the,
It's
that,
endless.
it's gonna influence you to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
or
well,
inspire
now
you.
I want to make a Trump pussy.
Yeah, neck pussy.
A neck pussy.
Maybe like a hand grabbing it,
The
or
neck
something.
pussy. Grab it by the neck pussy. Like that.
Or like, I don't know, like one of his children fingering it or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what a realm that this is what's happening in this country right now.
It
Or
is-
Putin
Putin fingering it.
fingering his
Yeah.
fucking neck
Well,
pussy.
it'd be Netanyahu these days. But
yeah.
it's quite a time to be an artist, a musician.
Plenty
Yeah.
of inspiration.
Yeah, but at the same time, like it's kind of like screaming into the void. Like what I kind of become disillusioned with the power of it sometimes, or the meaning of it, I guess, which is silly because it's what I've given my whole being to. But at the same time, like I have no choice but to go full steam ahead till the wheels fall off at this
Oh
point.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We're on the trajectory, so. We can wrap it, but do you want to talk about this one real quick?
So
since you brought it?
these are the doodles that I would make. I mean, this is another phone jabber one, but you can see the skull character.
Yeah.
So these are like these deities that I make over and over again. When I don't know what to make or I'm feeling stale, I just start one of these. And I've made hundreds and hundreds of different variations of them, but they always involve death, birth, usually like compost pit-like material, like insects and small varmints and things. But it's just a random free association, whatever. I try not to think. I just make whatever is just comes instantly to my hand and to my mind. I just bend it out immediately. Don't work from a reference. Just make it out of one continuous piece of wire.
Wow.
Mainly make these type of ones to sit on the beach.
So that's one piece of wire.
Correct. Yeah. It
Holy
starts
shit.
there at the loop, and if you look at the back side of it, you can see how I'm designing it with all those little tabs. Where every time I know I'm going back to a point, I'll put a tab going the other direction.
Oh.
So when you're looking at it straight on, it looks like a line, but it's actually a knot holding the whole thing together.
Whoa.
I've made a few of these. One of my ideas that I want to do is I've made some hammocks. Then I've had some of my heavy-set friends lay in them,
Whoa.
and the flesh will protrude through the wire. And then when they lay there for like 5-10 minutes, they get off the wire, and it leaves like a little wire image imprint on the skin. And I want to do like a human printing, like coffee table book. So I got a bunch of ideas like that, of like these weird. I've also heated up wire and branded a few people with it.
Whoa.
So I've done like 4 skin brands.
Wow.
And like that's another idea for a book, like to do like or even an art show. But I have a lot of and then I do also the at night like shadow bombing, like where I just take sculptures and a simple flashlight and project them around at night. I have about 1,000 photos of different shadow bombings that I've done over like the last 20 years around the world.
That's pretty amazing too. That can really upset people.
Yeah, it can't. Well, it's also a way to do impact large scale briefly, which is really fun too.
Like along the side of a freeway. Or
Exactly.
something.
I mean, you've seen like how a lot of people have been using projectors lately at protests in really cool ways. Actually, I saw Becky film someone on the side of the Scottish
Xavier
Rite.
Vasquez. One of our homies was doing that, and people were fucking freaking out about it.
Yeah, I liked
Is that still going? Okay.
But yeah, so these are the types of things I make when I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm supposed to be making. I just call them creation deities. They're supposed to be just like a meditation to get me back to where I'm thinking of ideas well again.
Yeah.
So,
man, I don't want to cheapen the conversation, and you can answer this off camera or off. But like, I want to know how you sell it, like or price it. I want to know how you price it and who buys it.
I mean, that's hard. It completely varies.
Okay.
So
Sliding scale.
I mean, 70% of the things I make I give away for free. So either to out in public or to people that approach me that I like. So, I mean, for me, like, I'm probably like the worst person to ask that question because
I'm always like, just take it.
there's no like constant equation for that. For me. But also like I do sales for a living, and so the value of art can be extrapolated endlessly based on the story that you tell about the object. So if I have a day where I'm having a good cognitive day and I can speak very well, I could probably sell this for a greater amount because I can entertain that client more. I can extrapolate more meaning for them. And it also like if I'm acting more zany or performy or stimulating them more or saying more profound things, the value of everything increases.
Yeah.
It's just like, think like, like if I do something crazy, if I rob a bank or if I cut off my ear, everything I make from here on out is more valuable because now it has this story.
This is like your TED talk of marketing.
But it is true. Like if you look through our history, like the wackier the person that made it, the more its value.
Of course.
And because it adds to the affluent person at the cocktail party can put their pinky ring out and be like, oh, this guy did that, and then it adds all this meaning and value. The object doesn't even really matter at that point. It becomes this branding.
Oh, like the rich person buying it because they have a void that they're trying to fill because you're this creative person that's free.
But now you're adding this little gem that they can talk about that adds validity to them, sense of self, and them cool.
That is fucking crazy.
And that's what being an artist is.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm very lucky. I have like a direct connection to collectors that like earnestly love me and like pass me around their friend pools of art collectors. So I'm extremely lucky. All the hard work that I've done is paid off. Where like people that like the arts I've got benefactors pretty much.
It's like an eyes wide shut kind of party.
No, well,
sorry, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
While we're there, so there used to be a woman that collected my artwork. She's passed away, bless her soul, and she was an incredible dream client. She bought many things from me, and at the time I was married. And I had done a portrait of this woman's grandchildren, and she was like, "Come over to my house."
A wire portrait.
Wire portrait of her grandchildren, of her three grandchildren. And then she wanted me to do lighting and install them, and put them in their house and project the images. Like, so I did like a full installation. And she's extremely wealthy, and she was extremely strange. Like she had a house where the whole house was dissected by a wall, and I went to her house over the course of 10 years. Probably 20 times, and I never saw her husband. I only saw her communicate with an intercom. Her husband lived on the other side of the house, and she lived on this side of the house, and they only talked through intercom. And she was the type of wealthy that had like a butler and a chef. And so after I did the installation of her grandchildren, she had her chef cook us this amazing meal, and she gave me a really nice bottle of like $200 scotch, and I got drunk while she was playing foot pump organ. She loved Bach, so she was playing Bach, and I was sitting on her couch with my wife at the time, spooning me, and we've had our shoes off, and this woman's playing pump organ. It's like late at night, and I've got a scotch buzz, so I'm kind of like going into dream sleep. And you know that feeling when you're walking in summer and you step into a warm mud puddle and you feel the warm mud go between your toes? I have that sensation when I'm on this couch with my eyes closed and I hear that the music has stopped playing. And I look down, and this older female client was filleting my whole entire foot, like had my entire foot, like to here. And my feet, like I skateboarded every day for 30 years. My feet look like rhinoceros testicles. They're fucking gnarly. I have gnarly feet. And like this woman is like going in between my toes. And I'm just like, I just take my other foot and I slide her off my foot and like with my toe on her forehead. And I'm just like, no, consent, no. And I tell her no. And I just pick up my wife and I walk out with her check of money in my pocket. I walk out of her house. And sometimes those are things you have to do to sell art.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's... But rest that woman's soul, she fed me for a year easy with the amount of art she bought from me.
Wow.
And I don't mean to disparage her. And I mean, we talked about it more, but she definitely like broke. I mean, if I was a man doing that to a woman, that would be super. It's fucked up no matter what.
Sure,
like, But like if you reverse the genders, like it's much more fucked up. Because it's definitely, and also it's like an abuse of employee-employer roles, which happens, I'm sure, in music a lot. It happens in arts constantly.
Yeah.
So there is that slope of thing where like the people that are collecting art from me do kind of have crushes on who I am as a person and what I represent as a person. And I'm sure the same musically, or in any arts. So for me, like, there's been many times where those boundaries have been blurred, that being one of them, where things But I've never done like an eyes wide shut orgy or anything.
That was a pretty good story. I did not expect that at all.
I didn't expect it either. Out of all the things to put in your mouth, this foot is a bad idea. But so the value of this one's pretty elaborate. So I would just probably base the value off of the time I put into it. But I mean, it's completely different each time. Like, and honestly, I hate to sound like a capitalist pig because I don't think I am, but I when I have something that I know that a wealthy person really wants, I do increase the value of it.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, like right now there's a young woman that follows me on Instagram who I know doesn't make a lot of money, and I'm making her young 18-year-old son just became a pro skateboarder, and she wants me to make his graphic into wire, and I'm doing that for next to nothing because I know she has no money.
And it's like
And I love skateboarding, and I love that the mother's doing that for her son.
So many levels right there, yeah.
So like there's all these things that are calibrated when money comes into it for me.
Yeah.
But like I'm never governed by it, but like also, but I need it. So like, you have to respect those rules that come with money.
Yeah.
The compromises that come with money. That's what I always say to myself is if you're an artist that gets good enough to be able to make money off your art, you're always going to be compromised in one way or another.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a juggle of compromise of your ethics and morals. And that's just the fact of the matter if you want to eat off of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know a single visual artist that doesn't have to compromise in one way or another.
Or even like a musician that's got dignity. You know, it's like, you're going to play that show for $100? Like, there's 4 of you, and you drove 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, well, I want to play the show.
But at the same time, though, like what you said, like this is something that we started doing out of pure love and passion. And that has to, like, we can't forget that as we get these trials and tribulations and our toes sucked by the wrong people. You can't forget like what a fucking blessing it is that we've got to do this for the majority of our life.
Oh yeah.
Like it's I'd never forget it.
Yeah.
I'll die happy because of it. And also that's why I'll keep leaving artwork out, even though I know, like if I post anything that I leave out on the street, a fan will go grab it immediately. And like, and I can't get bitter or butthurt about it because that's just the human nature, like what you said. Like people see something of value.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people that do public art, they're usually like putting a poster or spray painting or doing things that
you can't take it away.
You can't take it, and it usually doesn't have, like, you peel a poster, it's not going to have any value. So like, it's just a printed out poster.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless you're extremely famous, but for me, it's a gift. It's like I've been given a deep gift. So I'm thankful, have gratitude.
I mean, I think you're a brilliant, unique human being. I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm grateful for you being our friend, but just existing in this city and like the shit you do, your output is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
There you have it, episode 46 of the Cult and Culture Podcast. That was awesome. We really love Spenser Little. He's such a fantastic artist and person and human.
Great friend.
It's so rad. And then we had Rika stop in and talk about Food Shed, which is awesome. So it's kind of like a odd guest day. Oh, whoa, look at this. Here's another guest. This is Lee from Paleo Treats.
How are you doing?
So,
much. How are you guys?
Great. Good. This is turning into a food episode. Awesome.
Yeah. Be so stuffed.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, let's talk because we did have the Paleo Treat snacks during our podcast. So it might be better if you maybe give a little spiel. And this episode is awesomely sponsored by you. So
yeah, you bet.
I don't know. Yeah,
so
go for it.
We have a shop here in Normal Heights, and we are gluten, grain, and dairy free. We also have keto and vegan options. And we've been around for about 15 years. We won one of the top 10 small businesses in the country. So we cater to people who have, gluten allergies or dairy allergies. And we're known for being really delicious.
It
really
is
delicious.
Insane.
Yeah.
So we had your cake on the previous episode
Yeah.
with Lloyd Kaufman, and it was probably the best cake I think I've ever had.
Yeah, thanks. It's
so
really,
good.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And we have
it-
donuts and bread. And,
Yeah,
so,
it's awesome.
thanks.
So it's funny because we had on the top end of the podcast our friend Rico from Food Shed, and it's the podcast obviously isn't specific to regional viewers or listeners. So if you're not in San Diego, you're kind of screwed. But either way, if you come to San Diego,
We also ship.
okay, well there you go.
Yeah,
they
we ship worldwide.
Boom.
So
I highly
Okay.
suggest people look into Paleo Treats because you have such great snacks that I feel like obviously aren't like unhealthy, you know, and it's nice. It's a nice alternative. So if people are seeing this and hearing this, they should definitely look into it. And if you're in San Diego, it's right by our
Cool spot.
studio. Yeah, check out the spot on Adams Avenue.
yeah,
So
thanks for letting us. sponsor
yeah,
this stuff. So, cool.
you guys are awesome.
thanks.
It's cool too to just hone in on the local businesses and stuff too.
Yeah.
I think it's important for I don't know the flying the flag of San Diego. It's
Yeah.
like a cool thing. So
This is the brownie bomb.
Yeah. Donuts.
This is insanely good.
yeah, everything is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
So
Guys.
yeah, we appreciate you watching this podcast. We want to thank all of our normal podcast sponsors, plus Paleo Treats, plus Food Shed, you, the listener and viewer, and Ruinous Media for taking us under their wings, and
Andy and Becky
Andy and Becky, and
and Lee.
yeah, and you. So cool. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, and all right, take care.
They.
Bye.
Cult and Culture is a Ruinous Media podcast proudly sponsored by Earthquaker Devices, Heartwork Coffee, Diodario, Kindred, Smashed Plastic Record Pressing, and San Diego Food Shed.
Planet B.